If you stopped working today, how long could you survive on your savings? This question is the definition of wealth from Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Assuming you need £1 million or dollars to live comfortably for the rest of your life. Let's say you're the average engineer earning a good salary of £80,000 per annum. It will take you 15 to 16 years just to earn £1 million. But that doesn't include your living expenses like food, clothing, transport, accommodation. If you manage to save 10% of your income every month, then it will take you about 156 years to save your way to £1 million. For the average teacher, that will take 217 years. For a bartender at the local pub, it will take about 600 years at a saving rate of 10%. Now here is the thing. For the rich, wealth is measured in time. If you lost your job tomorrow, how many days, months, or years could you survive on your savings? That is the definition of wealth. So how long would you survive? Welcome to the Wisdom Inspired Talks podcast. I am Yomi Akipelu, your wisdom coach, speaker, teacher, and author. Today, I'm giving you the distilled summary of the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This book gives you the financial intelligence that wealthy families pass on from generations to generation. Schools and most parents fail to teach children these important lessons. A lack of knowledge of this information is why so many people remain forever stuck in the rat race. By the end of this video, you will understand the concepts of wealth that will guide you to financial freedom. So, let's jump right in. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a story of two fathers. One is very well educated and the other is a high school dropout. The story reveals the difference between two mindsets, the I cannot afford it mindset and the how can I afford it mindset. The poor dad would say, I can never be rich. The rich dad will say, I'm a rich man. There is a difference between being poor and being broke. Broke is temporary, poor is eternal. Lesson 1. The poor and the middle class work for money, but the rich don't work for money. The rich have money working for them. You see, life pushes all of us around. Some people give up and others fight. A few learn the lessons and move on. They welcome life pushing them around. Most people leave their jobs because they aren't receiving enough money. But the wealthy see it as an opportunity to learn. According to Rich Dad, Poor Dad, one of life's biggest traps is the thing called a job. People work very hard for little money, clinging to the illusion of a job security. 3 weeks vacation and a skimpy pension. People's lives are forever controlled by two emotions, fear and greed. The fear of not having money motivates you to work harder, then the paychecks begin to come in, and the greed for a newer car, the latest phone, new shoes and clothes begin. You want more things, so you work harder for that promotion, then the pattern is set. You get stuck in it. You get up, you go to work, you come back home, watch a little TV, you pay your bills. Your increased earnings leads to increased spending, basically lifestyle inflation. You do this day in and day out and the years roll by. Welcome to the rat race. Rich Dad taught Robert how to think of ways to start generating income, and this was the beginning of not working to earn money but making money work for you. The key lesson here is that working on a job is really just a start, a short-term solution that helps you get enough money to pay for your expenses. The long-term challenge of building your net worth. Usually, the more you get paid, the higher your expenses become. This is human nature and it's driven by fear and desire. If you get stuck in this cycle, you'll be forced to work for someone for the rest of your life. This is human nature. The next lesson is financial literacy. Now here is the thing. It's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. If you're looking to education to make you rich, you're looking in the wrong place. The education system is designed to make children become good employees, to go to school, get a good paying job, but does not do a good job of training children to be employers of labor. They hardly ever teach anything like managing personal finances or building wealth. You have to get this knowledge yourself to generate income that will help you begin to acquire assets. The first pillar of financial literacy and escaping the rat race is understanding the difference between assets and liabilities. An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket, and a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. You look at the income statement. Income is coming in and expenses is money going out. For rent, mortgage, electricity, food, clothing, utilities. An asset is something that generates income for its owner. On the other hand, a liability produces expenditure and expenses. Rich people acquire assets. The poor and the middle class acquire liabilities that they think are assets. The cash flow pattern of a poor and a rich differ greatly. The poor have a job and get a salary, but they use all they earn on their expenses and usually live paycheck to paycheck. The middle class have jobs. They get a salary, but most of their money is tied up in liabilities and expenses, mortgages, cars, credit card debt, and taxes. The cash flow of a rich person has a string of assets generating income and very few liabilities. The major source of income of a rich person is from assets they have acquired over time. According to Rich Dad, Poor Dad, your home is not an asset if it's not putting money in your pocket. It's a liability, in addition to paying the mortgage and other costs associated with the home. If all your money is tied up in your home, you lose all the opportunities to invest in assets, which could generate more income for you. Robert suggests you invest in real estate that can be rented out for income. Invest in a business that does not require you to be there for it to run. For Poor Dad, his home was his asset, but for Rich Dad, his home was a liability. Robert says a lack of knowledge of the relationship between an income statement and a balance sheet is why people struggle. He says if you work for a company to get a salary, you are making the owner and the shareholders rich. If you have debt, then you are working for the bank and the mortgage or credit card company because you pay the interest. Also, if you have a job, you are working for the government because the government takes a cut of your gross pay even before you see it. The more you work and earn, the more you pay in taxes. The average employee is working purely for the government from January to May. And if you add other taxes like VAT, road tax, and a variety of taxes, you can see that most of the income of a man with a job is going out through the expenses column. This is something that the rich understand, but the poor don't. The main way you get out of the rat race is to fully understand the difference between an asset and a liability, and then focus all your energy and abilities on acquiring assets that produce cash flow. Keep your debts to the barest minimum and reduce liabilities as much as possible. Now, here is the thing. Life is not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep and for how many generations. The key to achieving this resides in having financial literacy. Understand the differences between an asset and a liability. The rich build and acquire assets, the poor and the middle class acquire liabilities that they mistakenly think are assets. The rich focus on their asset column while everyone else focuses on their income statement. Robert's final job was as a photocopier salesman at Xerox. Using the salary from this job, he invested in real estate, and just after 3 years, the revenue he was generating from his investments exceeded his wages. He then left Xerox to look after his business full-time. Examples of assets to invest in are businesses that do not require your presence to operate: stocks, shares, bonds, income-generating real estate, royalties from intellectual properties like books, music, and so on. Anything basically that appreciates in value over time. Once a pound or dollar goes into your asset column, never let it go out again. Feed your asset column. Robert sees every dollar he puts into his assets column as an employee. He says each dollar or each pound in my assets column was a great employee, making more employees to buy the boss a new Porsche. The best thing about having money as your employee is that it works 24/7. It doesn't go on sick leave. It doesn't go on paternity or maternity leave. It works all the time, round the clock. it can work for generations. Another lesson to learn is that you must not confuse your profession with your business. The middle class focus on their profession, and as a result, they spend their entire lives building someone else's business. The rich, on the other hand, focus on building their own businesses. Your profession fits only the income section of your income statement. Your business, on the other hand, revolves around the asset column of your balance sheet. Now, here are the key points in this book. Rich people buy assets, poor people buy liabilities that they think are assets. And mind you, your home, according to this book, is not an asset unless you're renting it out or parts of it and receiving rent, what is called house hacking. Your latest iPhone is not an asset unless you're using it to create content that produces income. Your new car is not an asset unless you're using it to produce income, like a taxi cab. So buy assets to start generating passive income every month. The second key point to take from this book is the power of corporation or a company. Companies are good for many reasons. They allow you to pay yourself first and pay less tax. The number one expenditure of the average household is tax. If you're the average Joe with a job, often you pay about 40% to 50% of your income in taxes because you get taxed before you get your salary. When buying things, you are taxed. When you die, you are taxed. And of course, when you draw a pension, you are taxed here in the UK. Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest men on the planet, is famous for saying he pays less taxes than his secretary. A limited liability company will allow you to pay for expenses before taxes. Also, companies or corporations protect you from personal losses. Any liabilities incurred in the business will be borne by the company because it's a separate legal entity. The next key point is stop focusing on your income, focus on your assets. Don't study and work hard just to work for a great company, but study hard so you can buy great companies by buying shares from great companies. When you buy shares from Microsoft or Amazon, for example, you have become a part owner of the company. When these companies make profit, you get a share of it because you're a shareholder. Focus on investing in real estate and businesses, your own business or other well-established businesses, that is the stock market. The fourth key point to note is financial literacy. Money is a form of power, but even more powerful is the financial education. Money without financial intelligence is money soon gone. You know the saying, a fool and his money are soon easily parted. This is the reason why famous people like Mike Tyson, 50 Cent, famous sports personalities who have earned millions all through their life go broke and declare bankruptcy. Same goes for many lottery winners, over 90% of whom go broke within 5 years of winning the lottery. The reason why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer and the middle class struggle with debt is because the subject of money is not taught in schools, and most of the parents who should teach the subject at home are clueless. So if your parents are not rich, then you need to get financial education from elsewhere. This video and this channel is a good starting point. Now, there are 4 parts of financial literacy you need to focus on. Accounting, that is the ability to read numbers. That could be to read an annual report or a personal bank account. Investing, that is the science of making money. Understanding the markets, that is basic rules of supply and demand. And the law, spend money to educate yourself to improve your knowledge and develop skills, e.g., understand the tax advantages of a corporation. And these are the key points and takeaway of the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Richard Kiyosaki. Now, here is the thing. If I asked you for the definition of wealth, if you stopped working today, how long can you survive? It should be, I no longer work for money, money works for me. And that is all for today. Until next time, keep on growing in wisdom and maturity. And don't forget to subscribe, like, share for the YouTube algorithm. See you on the next video.